Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, Angela Yee, DJ Envy is in Denver for whatever reason. But we have a special guest in the building. His name is Storm Saulter. Now, Yee, you saw his new movie, Sprinter.
Yes, I saw the movie Sprinter.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to see it. And it was amazing, so I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah,
so, Storm, you give away what you want to give away, and then we'll talk about it.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Yes,
I love
sir.
this show. I watch it all the time.
Thank you,
so
man.
It's nice to be here.
You from Jamaica?
Yeah, of course.
Well, go on, Bradrin.
How's his
go on.
how's his accent? Could he have been cast in Sprinter?
Who?
Charlamagne.
Who?
Maybe for background part.
Whatever you need me to say, me can say.
Bop, bop, bop.
Bop, 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 bop.
Is this
Yeah, you could do
offensive?
that. No, man, it's all good. But Sprinter is really, it's a story of a young boy, 17-year-old kid, making that transition moment from high school to becoming an adult. It's a story of a boy whose mom leaves when he's 7 to come to the U.S. to work as a nurse, stay on a visa. She's supposed to return in 2 years, and it's 10 years later. She hasn't returned. She can't leave. And
Because if she leaves, then she can't get
then she
back to
can't come
America.
back. You know, that's how the immigration thing goes. And it's in the larger sense, it's a story of this young boy who thinks if he can only run fast enough, if he can only make the national team, if he can only achieve on the track, maybe he'll have a chance of getting back to his mother. But it's also a story of, you know, in the post Usain Bolt world, you know, these sprinters, you know, some of these high school kids, they're so fast. It's like they can see the potential if they can make it just 1 second faster. You know, they might be in the terrain of Bolt and some of the greats. So their world changes once people see you and know that you have potential.
Usain Bolt is actually in the movie, by the way.
Dope. I was in Jamaica one year, and it was during the Olympics, and it's like I was at the airport.
Yeah.
Everything shut down when Usain was about to run.
Yeah,
I'm talking about everything. Like they shut the whole airport down. No security lines, no nothing. Everybody just stopped
gone through.
to watch Usain run. Like
in the middle of the city in halfway tree it's like Times Square for Olympics. You know, all the traffic stops. People are in the middle of the street. So yeah, track is a thing for us.
Do people look at track the way I think some black kids in America look at hip hop? Like they look at it as their way out of their circumstances?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think track is definitely is an avenue and has been an avenue for a lot of people to kind of, you know, take themselves through school professionally and, you know, other avenues. Track has been a major, it's a powerhouse effect. We've not only been great athletes, but it's had a great effect on us as a country and just lifting people.
Now, Storm, I know it was important for you to kind of break these stereotypes of what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
When you see a movie in Jamaica, you think of shatas and you think of things like that. And for you, though, this was a totally different type of movie. Yeah. You don't see anything happening like people getting shot or anything like that in this movie. So why was it important for you to show this side of Jamaica?
Yeah, because, you know, the thing is, it's not like stereotypes, there ain't some element of truth or it wouldn't become a stereotype, right? But when that's all that you show or rely on, it becomes what you imagine everything is. And everyone isn't living this extreme live or die situation that you kind of imagine. You know what I mean? It's just showing a regular family, showing the obstacles of this youth being, you know, it's not like if he doesn't win the race, he's going to die. No, it's but if he does win the race, maybe he can get his family back together. It's a simpler obstacles that I think a lot of us as humans are going through more realistically. And I think if we can show that and add characters that have this kind of nuance and simplicity, that's kind of what makes the story a bit more radical, you know? You know, Jamaican men, it's also a story about masculinity and Jamaican men. I mean, no, you know,
Jamaican men don't eat poom poom?
Well, that's not
apparently.
it, but, you know, you would think, like, imagine this. The mom is gone for 10 years. What do you think the dad is doing in Jamaica, if you had to imagine?
The mom was gone for 10 years?
Yeah, she's been in America for 10
Being
years.
a faithful black Jamaican man, like every other black man out here. What do you think we're doing?
Yeah.
But I think the assumption would be he's getting it in with a lot of other women.
For sure. And we play on that. You know what I mean? We play on that assumption and this young boy who's wondering why his mom is not coming back and thinking maybe it has something to do with his dad. And his dad is suffering his own demons, trying to be faithful black man, husband.
Not trying to be, being what he is by nature.
But just trying to be
tempted
happy.
by that damn devil.
Right, but also just missing his family, missing his life. So it's showing a family that's trying to be as cohesive as possible, but because of the dynamics of economy, immigration, etc., they are separated. You know what I mean? And I think that's important. It's so normalized. It's so much so that our lead actor, Dale Elliott, who plays Akeem Sharp, his own life story is so similar to that of the characters, whereas both of his parents went to the UK and to the US when he was like 5 to 7, and he was raised by his grandparents. And when we made this film, when we shot the final sequence in Los Angeles, on his way to Los Angeles, he went to Florida and reconnected with his dad for the first time in a long time, probably over a decade. We just did our premiere in London in February, and we traveled there, and his mom met him at the airport, and that was the first time they reconnected in person in 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we're telling a story about a kid who's living this, and it's such a normalized existence that even our actor's life is even more extreme in terms of that type of family separation. So it's like a simple thing that is very normalized across the globe, and I thought it was worth looking at that and how that emotionally affects.
Why are Jamaicans so fast, bro? And I feel like this is a new thing. Like, at least in my
it's not new.
In my lifetime, like, I don't. How far does this go?
We used to go
back?
to the pen relays, and it was always Jamaica win the pen relays.
It's
always.
It's pure Jamaicans in the audience at the pen relays. Honestly, it has been going back for a long time. The champs, which is our national high school track and field championships, is over 100 years old.
Wow.
And pretty much every major great track athlete that's come out of Jamaica has passed through there, including Usain and all of everyone. And I think a big part of it, yes, it's probably location and something to do with diet and something to do with genetics, but I think it has a lot to do with coaching. We have the best sprinting coaches in the world as well. And I just think there was investment and so on put into track and finding athletes from the 70s coming forward. So not only do we have national talent, they've built an infrastructure to find that talent and kind of hone it. Something that we do well, and it's a national pride,
Is there a hunt for the next Usain Bolt, so to speak?
Always. I've met a few of them.
Really?
I bet you did.
Yeah, I've met a few of them. I've documented them as well in studying to try to create a realistic character. Yeah.
Now, dialect, let's talk about that, because what was great was David Allen Greer is in the movie.
Yeah.
I've never heard him speak with a Jamaican accent like that before.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? After I left, my friend Paris was with me, and she goes, I said, David Allen Greer did a pretty good job. And she was like, oh my God, that was David Allen Greer? She didn't even realize that was him.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with people in the movie that may not be Jamaican having to speak the dialect?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tricky because if you are a Jamaican, you know exactly how
You're very
the tone
critical.
is very specific and very critical, right? So I knew that it was a challenge, and I'm always trying to be as truthful to language as possible. So thankfully, in David, he's such a great actor, and he's committed. This brethren, even when the crew were late nights, everyone's falling asleep, David is keeping us awake and giving us energy, and he was so committed to getting it right, both on set and in the studio after. And we just pushed and pushed and pushed, man. That's all you can do.
How was Tay Diggs and how Stella got her groove back?
Whoa. I don't know. It was questionable, I guess. Yeah, I think hopefully we're, stepping it up, No diss to Tay Diggs, big up.
And you guys
if he couldn't land the accent, he couldn't land the accent.
Yeah, so it go,
And you guys also had subtitles, which I thought was interesting because I can understand all of that. I'm from Brooklyn, though, so, and I'm Caribbean as well, so we can understand it. And I was wondering, was that something that you had to debate whether or not to put in the subtitles?
Yeah, so here's how it went. I was like, okay, how can we toe the line with language where it's real, but you can get it, right? And it's true, if you're from a New York or Miami or some of these major cities that people pass through, you're going to know it. But if you're from like the Midwest and some of these places, it might fly all the way over your head. So we made a conscious decision at a certain point that, we'd have to compromise the talking too much too. So we put in subtitles. However, on set, it was funny because I would get my shot, I'd do all the takes, I'd be happy, we're moving on. And then some of the producers would be like, oh, can we get one where it's the language a little toned down? So it happened every time. So I'm like, all right, we're going to call this a Yankee take. So every time we did a new setup, by the time we got it, we had to do a Yankee take where the language was kind of pulled back.
And even the subtitles didn't even match exactly what was said. It was kind of like a translation.
Yeah, because, when you translate language, because we're showing this film in Spanish, in French, all over, then you kind of end up having to get to the core. So there's certain little nuanced things that may not always translate, or if you translated it, it would mean something totally different.
Now,
how do people from Jamaica react to you using Americans for Jamaican parts?
You're always going to get... there'll always be people that watch it with skepticism, but I feel like with this project, people understand. They understand that they've seen it before. They know when they see it that we've really working as hard as possible to bring it as truthfully as possible across. I think they understand the global reach of this film also, and I think it's something that it's not, at the end of the film, that's not what you're thinking about. And if you're thinking about that, then the film is not doing its job. And so far,
And you guys did use a lot of people to work on the movie from Jamaica.
Most of our crew. Hey, big up the Jamaican crew. It's one of the best crews in the world. And they're working very hard right now on some major productions there. It was mostly Jamaicans. Gaffer, grip, camera. But we did have some international talent. My DP was from Mexico. My editors, Chinese. So it was a bit of a global thing, but 80% of the crew was Jamaican.
And you have to do that, because if not, Jamaica will be on your ass.
Yeah, but it's my industry.
Yeah,
so we want any opportunity to bring in and to build up, we're gonna do that. And also, we wanna, like when you get people invested, like it's a different level of investment in terms of like we're all trying to grow it. So it was great. We had a premiere in Jamaica recently for the first time, and our whole crew and cast were there. The actors were there. Usain was there, and it was really a beautiful moment. Felt like the industry is really like at a great point right now, Caribbean cinema in general.
Now, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, let's talk about their involvement, because we can't not mention that.
Yeah. Well, I have to big up the General Rob Mailer, who's here.
Hey, Rob.
What up, Rob? Wagwan, brethren.
Me and Rob went to high school together.
Yes, see there. So Rob also, he got involved with the script after a couple years of me developing it, workshopping it, trying to get it perfect. Then Rob came on board. We both had a similar vision as, Jamaican youths that are kind of trying to tell stories on a global scale. And we got the script kind of tight relatively quickly, and he had been doing some work with Overbrook, and I think everything aligned to the point where Will and Jada, they wanted to put their energy behind emerging voices in cinema at the right time when we had the script, and the script was solid, and we had all the pieces kind of put together. So it was a very serendipitous moment when we were able to put that script in front of them, and they said yes.
Was it hard to get funding for the film? Because it's independent, right? Or...
It is independent.
Okay.
But it always takes the first believers. Richard Jefferson was our first
former Nets
The
player.
basketball player?
Yeah, the basketball
Okay.
player. He believed in us early on and got involved first, and I think that gave confidence to other people to jump in. And then once Will and Jada got involved, it all came. We ended up getting investors out of Jamaica as well. So it's like a domino effect, you know what I mean? It starts with a story, and if you do your job right, things will happen.
What stories aren't being told from Jamaica that you want to tell?
I want to tell, I think the cinematic landscape in the Caribbean is to be defined. I think we have a few great film works, but our literature and our music is obviously way vaster, What we, I just want to tell stories that are more complex, that are more broad, and aren't living in these stereotypes. If anything, if we're going to go towards these stereotypes, we're going to turn them on their head. I think that's why I thought it was important to tell a story in the present day as well, because oftentimes we're living in this kind of like reggae golden age, or these very kind of things that we know are touchstones. I want to tell stories that are more complex. The Caribbean to me is like a snapshot of the future. It's full of mix-up people from all over the place because of our history. So I think that any stories that we create in that space, by nature, have a universal appeal. And the films I want to make are stories that could take place anywhere. You could watch this anywhere in the world, and you could place yourself in these characters, because the texture of the space, how unique it is. Every community is unique to its own. You know what I mean? And I think the goal is to make local stories that have a global appeal. That's what I aim to do.
Is it important to preserve and show the real Jamaica through film, especially being that a lot of people say like the Asians are buying up everything in Jamaica and it's not the same anymore?
Yeah. I think cinema is the most powerful art form. I think it's how people learn history. Like, a lot of people thought they knew it to themselves, okay, I know what Jesus looks like. But then when you saw the Passion of the Christ, now you think that's Jesus now. Jesus is Jim Caviezel, right? Right? Now you don't have to wonder about it. So cinema defines things.
Yeah.
So I do think it is very important for us, all our great moments, ska music, dub music, all these iconic people, it's important to tell their stories cinematically for sure, because that's going to last and really outlive us. And that's how people consume stories the most now, is visually. So I'm excited. I feel like the Caribbean is a really amazing space to be creating right now.
Yeah, I feel like they should do a Bob Marley biopic, a Marcus Garvey biopic.
Yeah.
You know?
You can always
Some
watch
of them
the,
things are in the works.
Did you like The Harder They Come? That's a classic.
Oh,
What's the Harder They
You
Come?
gotta watch that.
Documentary?
No, man, you have to watch this, man. This is the Jamaican film. With
I thought Shadows was the Jamaican film.
No, How Did They Come?
Hey, big up to Shatta, same.
Yeah.
But The Harder They Come was Perry Hensel's film, and it was actually that film and that with Jimmy Cliff as a star. That was a film that kind of first exposed. It was a major indie film, early 1970s, but also it kind of, the soundtrack of that, I think, is what primed the world for what reggae was going to be. You know, Toots and the Maytals and all these amazing artists were first.
Gotta watch that.
You have to watch that, man.
Yeah, I want to check it out.
I think it's one of the 100 greatest films or something. That's what they said.
Wow.
Now let's talk about. There's one scene that really stood out to a lot of people when we watched the screening.
Yes, I know which one.
What happened?
You said
Some Jamaican
But-
man eating poom poom?
Not quite.
What?
But there is a sex scene, and all I'm gonna say is when you see this sex scene, is a sex scene I've never seen anything like this before.
Really? That says a lot in this room.
Listen, I know I do a podcast called Lip Service, and we talk about a lot of different things, but this particular scene definitely will stand out when you see it. And
You got to give us a spoiler because I ain't see it. What kind
well,
of...
you have the opportunity to see it. So
I did?
Yeah.
you do have the opportunity.
Oh.
Because the movie comes out on the
Yeah.
24th.
Yeah, the movie comes out on the 24th of April, coming out across the U.S. And if you want to see the film, you can go to sprinterthefilm.com. You can reserve tickets through our site. You can also, we have a number of partnering cinemas across the U.S. So even if there's not one showing near to you, you can actually request a cinema. You can get a group of people together, and as long as you reserve enough tickets, a certain percentage of that cinema, it triggers a screening. It's a program called Gather.
That's amazing. We should trigger a screening.
Yo, trigger some screening for when.
Let's trigger some screening. Sprint to the movie. So all
What
we
the
have
hell
to
is
do.
this sex scene about, though? You just
I don't
got-
want to. I don't want to ruin it for people that are gonna go see the movie. But I will say, everybody in the theater was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy."
Let me ask you a question. If you was to film a movie and you had a scene in there where a Jamaican man was eating poom poom, would other Jamaican men be mad at you?
I think certain men's heads would explode. I don't know if they'd be mad at me or just looking at themselves in the mirror. I don't know what they'd be doing.
But I feel like that's kind of changed. It's changing.
I think it has absolutely changed, but we are always defining and redefining and trying to be the manliest of men. That's kind of our ultimate goal all the time. So I feel like the world is evolving, as is Jamaica.
What about a gay scene? You think they're ready for that?
Lord have mercy.
Yo, let me tell you something. Things are gonna happen, man, and it's gonna happen, and they're gonna be ready or not. But it's gonna happen regardless. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
it's reality.
Nothing you could do about it now.
Yeah, nothing you can do about it.
Where did those stereotypes come from, though? Like, where did that stereotype come from? Jamaican men don't eat poom poom.
Boy, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly. I don't know the source.
They act like it's bowing down to.
Yes, it's a power. Ultimately, like I would say, when it comes to being rough and tough and the manliest of the manly, Jamaicans are definitely, gunning for that position. And I think, I'm sure whatever other historical and whatever things that would kind of lead to it are relevant
Right.
in our case as well. We just make big out of everything. Everything is a talk or a hype for us,
It's the guys like hyping each other up not to do it and passing it down. But I will tell you this, and I can 100% guarantee that Jamaican men do eat it. They just don't talk about it.
Okay, Brooklyn.
I can guarantee
All
that.
right, Brooklyn. I hear you, Brooklyn, yeah. All right. A lot of Jamaican men in Brooklyn.
All right.
Sprinter.
Yes, make sure you guys go see this. It's an excellent movie. Go out and support. It's won all kinds of awards. You guys are sweeping categories. Just list the awards so people can understand how important a movie like this is.
Yeah, well, we came out the gates and Sprinter premiered at the 2018 American Black Film Festival. We won Best Narrative Feature, the Audience Award, Best Director. We recently won Best Narrative Feature at the Pan-African Film Festival. We won Best Feature at the Nouveau Regard Film Festival. We won also at the Bahamas International Film Festival. We've been playing at the Smithsonian. It's been moving. It's been gathering a lot of momentum. And again, sprinterthefilm.com and at sprinterthefilm is all of our socials. So we also need people to put their energy behind this and spread the word.
We're working on that now,
Yeah,
so
man.
let's make sure.
One last question. Was it hard to get Usain Bolt involved?
It was many years of like planting the seeds because
Okay.
I got the opportunity to work on some of his commercial sets and taking pictures and then slowly getting to the point where I could direct them and just building up a trust with his team and with Puma, who was also became a sponsor of this film. And I just worked it for years until I was able to make that ask, and we got 30 minutes It said 30 minutes with Bolt.
Wow.
And this was the first day our lead actor ever was in a movie because it was his first movie.
It was the first day of
and
filming.
his first scene because
Wow.
he had to break for the Olympics. And we got 30 minutes to do it. And
They pulled it off.
What was his hesitation?
It wasn't really no hesitation. He's just such a powerful brand, and everyone has to protect that, and they had to know that I wasn't gonna do no foolishness. And thankfully, it was JaWorks, man. Everything just came together, and it's a powerful moment in the film, and his support is important.
And he even came to the screening. What did he say to you after he saw it for the first time?
Yeah, man, he loved it. In fact, in the cinema, we talk a lot in the cinema, right? And in the screening, people were a bit quiet because I think it was just a moment. And I'm hearing folks talking. I'm like, yeah, who's talking? When I look, it's Bolt and his crew talking. So I was like, all right, when I can talk all you want. And I think he really enjoyed it. And it's been a blessing.
Word.
You work with Beyonce and Jay-Z also?
Yeah, I for the On the Run World Tour, Melina directed those visuals, and I was a second unit director in Jamaica, so I shot a bunch of the visuals for that tour as well. Yeah.
You representing.
Yeah, man,
Can you teach Charlamagne just one good Jamaican phrase and teach him how to say it right and work on his patois just a little bit? Just a little something.
I don't know what, Charlamagne, what you want to say?
Me don't know what we want to see.
No, man, you sound tired. Yeah? You sound tired.
You look tired?
Wake up. Yeah, man.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, next time.
Next time.
Next time.
My man
I
Storm
don't know if I'm ready for
Saulter.
the lesson.
Tell him a bleach.
Them a bleach.
Yeah, say I bleach.
They say me bleach. You know. Storm Saulter, man, director of the movie Sprinter. Thank you for coming, my brother.
Respect. Thank you.
It's the Breakfast Club.